Okay.
So, hi everybody. Welcome. This is so exciting. I have got a real treat for you because I have brought in my delicious new friend, Sarah Smith, who lives in Vancouver Island in Canada. And she's in the northern hemisphere, and I'm in the southern hemisphere. And there was something that just felt right about connecting the two hemispheres together in a space where we could talk about the different energies we're both feeling. And Sarah is an energy healer and a channeler. And
Mhm.
I just wanted to get a bit of a backstory about how she discovered these gifts and how she integrated them into her life. And then we're going to ask her a few stories, questions, not stories. There will be stories, I'm sure, but we'll ask her a few questions about what's going on at the moment and how best we
Mm,
can support ourselves. So, welcome.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jen. What a beautiful introduction. I'm so happy to be here.
Great.
Um, Thank
So
you for
yeah,
having me.
tell us a
Yes.
little bit about you.
Yeah. So ever since I was little, I could feel energy around me. I was extremely shy and scared. When I was little, I would actually sleep outside of my parents' bedroom because I was so terrified of my bedroom feeling energies around. And that went through my high school years. And really probably started around and always very highly sensitive, empathic. I would feel other people's emotions and crowds or anything like that. I would have to go recharge. My mom would be making a beautiful big dinner. She's a cook, and I would just look at that and I'd have to go lay down and have a nap. Like this was, this was even when I was younger in my teens. I could feel all the energy, not know what to do with it, and have to go. I'm out. I got to go lay down.
Wow.
And then really around my uh, 30th birthday, it was on my 30th birthday. This was 2007. I woke up. I have two daughters, and they were little toddlers at the time. And I woke up and I didn't know who I was. I mean, I knew I was Sarah Smith, but I didn't know what I liked, what I didn't like. I'm like, I felt like a newborn baby. Some kind of veil had been lifted,
Wow.
and I could see everything for what it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and through those next few years, I was a sponge for information. I was reading books on like religion, what's in our food, what's in our makeup, all different things about countries and people. And I couldn't get enough information. I just felt like I was reading, taking courses, I was traveling, and it really expanded my awareness of who I am and remembering who I am as well. And
Wow.
then right around that time, like I still wasn't quite, was coming together a little bit, but I really needed more information. And I decided, right, something popped into my head that to sit down and meditate. And so I did. I'm like, I have no idea how to meditate, don't know what I'm doing. I sat down, and as soon as I made the intention to sit down and I did it, tears started flowing. And I get emotional just thinking about it because I felt like I was home. And I was sobbing like for half an hour. My head was spinning, and all this stuff was happening. I'm like, what just happened? And so I devoted my time morning and night for half an hour at a time. That's about it. Um, to meditate. And I continually did that. After 3 months, my thoughts completely stopped. I had complete silence in my thoughts. And I felt completely present with everything I was doing. Something completely shifted. And I was present in everything. My whole day, I was present. And no, none of those million thoughts were going through my mind. And that is the time when I was meditating in a dark room. I mean, my husband, girls were downstairs playing games, and I was in a dark room, pitch black. And I was told to put my hands in front of my eyes. And light was coming, like sunlight, the brightest light you could ever see was coming through my closed eyes. And I started crying again. My emotion is, seems
Wow.
like always crying, but it's happy tears, right? 'Cause I don't know what else to do
Amazing.
with the emotion. And it was above my eyes, and I was told I'm a healer. And healer is, to me, is not someone that you just touch and you're going to heal. This is talking about opening up their innate gifts.
Mm.
um and that's to me what a healer is, an energy healer. And so I did this, and I was just literally for probably an hour going this and this and this and this, and like looking at my hand, closing, experimenting, because I just couldn't believe this was happening. Does this happen to people? Like, I've never heard of this. It was just out of this world. And so through that, I was guided to then start Reiki courses. I was also guided to take all my yoga courses, yoga teaching courses. And so this took time. And then I was also guided to go into the hospice program, the volunteer program. And all of these were stepping stones, listening to guidance. And the guidance, it sounds like your voice in your head, but you know it's not your voice. And that's kind of the challenge. Is it my voice? Is it something else talking? It is your voice, but it's higher guidance. And I call that your team of light, also your higher self.
Yeah.
And they started walking me down this path. And so I was treating clients for about 7 years with Reiki. I started then going to schools around our area and teaching yoga after school clubs to kids. I loved it. And to ladies, I had an evening class. It was wonderful. And then something shifted again. And it was almost 8 years after the light came out of my hands, I had it again happen. And this time I was told that the Reiki that I was doing would turn more into channeling energy healing, if that makes sense. So what it is that the client's team of light, I say, is angels and guides. Everyone has angels and guides around them.
Yeah.
And their team comes through me. I'm a clear channel for the divine. They come through me and then heal. They cut cords of past lives, energetic cords. They give information and tools to help you in the present moment. And this is some crazy stuff that was going on with clients that I can't even make this stuff up, but I was just present, held the space, and communicated what they wanted me to communicate. And so that's how it has evolved to where it is now. It's fascinating. And I still am feel, and I mean, everyone is going through upgrades, but this is a continual process, and I'm still continuing to get upgrades. Everyone's getting upgrades. This is the huge awakening time that we're in. And it's incredible.
Wow, what a journey. How, can I ask you, how did you integrate all of that into just your everyday human life? How did you ground that energy?
Well, it was interesting. So I was working at a bank while doing all this. I had about 3 jobs. So I was a yoga teacher, doing Reiki, and also worked at a bank. The bank was my consistent income.
Okay.
And eventually it got to the point where I couldn't be in the bank anymore because being an empath, it was too draining for me because I would see 50 customers a day. And if a pregnant woman come up, I would actually be almost throwing up in the garbage can, feeling her nausea.
Oh, wow.
And I could feel the anger. I could feel, especially being in the bank, environment, it's heavy. People are concerned about their money. You're not really getting a lot of happy customers coming in. So how I integrated that is I eventually, after 20 years, decided to let go of the bank. I made that decision to actually jump off the cliff and say, this is what I'm meant to do. And I felt supported by my team, by my angels and guides. But it really took me quite a few years to get to that point of being able to do that. And so how I do every day is I meditate every day. That has been going on since 2011.
Okay.
It has to be for my mind. It's the only thing that will keep me sane is meditation for me.
Yeah.
And I know many of my friends and colleagues, they don't meditate, but they have other avenues. So also for me, it's gardening. I love to connect with the earth and garden as much as I possibly can. Dancing is high vibration. I love to dance. Me and my girls will just put on You Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston and go around the kitchen and just dance it out. It's so great. And then also my diet has changed quite a bit since all this has begun. It's amazing because your body talks to you. And my body eventually said, no coffee. And this is not all at once. This is over 10 years.
Wow.
My body said no coffee. So I'm like, okay, no coffee. I was never a big coffee drinker, but I really started when my kids were babies and just to get through those sleepless nights, right? Coffee was the only thing that kept me going. And then it was meat. I couldn't eat meat. I actually would get sick eating meat.
We're
And
having
and I
a
don't believe that you have.
parallel universe here, because that's exactly what happened to me too. Can't eat meat, can't drink coffee, can't drink alcohol.
Yeah, no alcohol. Can't drink alcohol, and it makes me sick. And then it was also certain flours now then came into play. And then it was yogurt, and it was like, and I'm not saying that you have to do all of this
Yeah, but
to go
listen,
into high vibration, but I listened to what my body
meditate
was
to
communicating
what
with
your
me.
body
Yeah.
wants.
And
God.
so that's what I do every day. It's meditation, it's stillness. And really, I watch a little bit of the news to keep informed, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And really, social media, all that stuff, I'm off. And with social media, I listen to my intuition. I listen to my gut. If something, I feel if it's fake, like
Yeah.
I don't want to be watching something if it's fake and it's,
Yeah.
why am I, yeah. So this is
Mhm.
also how to help people too, is to
Yeah.
listen to your gut.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Thank you so much for sharing so much about your story. I think there's probably a lot of people. I mean, I was certainly going, oh crikey, yeah, I've had a few of those moments, but it certainly helps people normalize some of the things and the energies that are happening in the universe at the moment. So
Yeah.
can I just ask you, because I know you on your Instagram, you post regularly about what you're hearing from your guides, angels, and different realms. What is the story you're picking up around COVID and this situation we're all in together
Hmm.
at the moment?
Yeah. What's come through is from the angel, through Divine Light Collective. There are 20 beings through the Galactic Masters of Light and archangels, ascended masters, Arcturians, Palladians, Orions. There's about 20 of them that come through for channelings, and really the collective. This COVID-19, um, I've been told, is a man-made virus. Has come through, has backfired in a way that there are people a day that really wanted to disrupt humanity, and it
Okay.
really took the opposite effect, where it really is rising humanity to a more to more light, transforming humanity.
Mm.
um, and it's really incredible, because this is the great awakening. What they're saying is that people are meant to be in their homes and go within,
Yeah.
eliminate the distractions, go within, and that is what is going to open up your heart. You're going to feel the connection. It's all about love and letting go of the fear. And so releasing, not really watching the news, but the news is fear. And
Yeah.
it is good to be informed, but really to limit it the amount of time.
Yeah.
Go within, and that is going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people. You have to sit with your emotions. You have to feel the emotions, and then the emotions move off of you, and feel the love for yourself. And this is what they're saying over and over again. The message is love yourself, go within. Love yourself, go within. So what does that even look like for some people? How do you love yourself? And what they've been telling me is, make a list of who you love. So who do you love in your life? Your husband, your spouse, your kids, your friends. Make a whole list,
Yeah.
and then say, how do you show your love to them? Through attention, through words, through showing affection. And then you say, how do you love yourself? What do you do for yourself? That list can be empty. That could look like there's nothing on it. If there's nothing on it, you have to really triple what you're going to be giving back to yourself. And it's not selfishness. It has nothing to do with that. You need to take care of you. And by doing that, it's taking the time away, especially right now as we're enclosed with our families, taking the time. I need 15 minutes telling your family I need to go in the bath. I need to recharge.
Yeah.
I need to go for a walk with myself today.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Mm.
But that's what the collective is saying. It's to go within and to love oneself, eliminate the distraction.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, because I know that certainly I have a lot of clients, and particularly, you know, initially myself many years ago, I really didn't know how to sit with difficult emotions. As soon as an emotion came in, even if it was an excited something I was excited about or something I was overwhelmed at, my response would be to open the fridge, or to immediately get busy, because it felt so alien, and I didn't know how to bring it closer. And I realized for me that was because there was a lot of shame and judgment, and there wasn't really an open discussion about feelings. You know, during my childhood, I grew up in a family that wasn't open about how they were feeling. It was a very
Mm.
functioning household. And so, how do we turn toward ourselves without those shaming narratives that are running, saying, oh, you're taking time for yourself, or oh my God, you're feeling really uncomfortable. This is fear. This is fear. You need to get away, or you need to run
Yeah.
away. You need to get, you know, how do you sit on the mat and just go, this is a energy that's moving through me, and if I resist it, it's going to stay stuck, but if I just open up to receive it,
Hmm.
will it
That's beautiful.
move through me? So have you got any insights for you
Hmm.
personally, how you manage that?
Well, for me personally, it was the meditation. It was the commitment to sit down every single day, no matter what was going on with my mind, and to sit on the floor. I couldn't lay down because I'd always fall asleep. So I have to sit on the floor,
Yeah,
and going through the commitment of 3 months and letting the mind, the thoughts just go, like visualizing them like clouds moving away. Sometimes that didn't work. Sometimes I'd have so many thoughts
yeah,
of not feeling good enough about myself, all of these thoughts of self, like low self
yeah,
worth, all of that going through the head. And so meditation was the key because there's a switch. So there's two things that happened for me. The switch is after 3 months, the thoughts stopped. And it literally, the soul, those thoughts is the ego.
yeah,
And the ego's coming up and saying, you're not good enough. You're ugly today. You're fat today, whatever it is. And, and eventually, because of your commitment, and that meditation practice, it's called a practice for a reason, because you just have to keep going over and over and trying again and again. There's the ego all of a sudden stops and it's quiet, and you get a cheerleader that comes onto your shoulder, and your
mm,
cheerleader
yeah,
self. And when
yeah,
you sit there and you're saying, I'm not good, look at me, I'm not good enough. Like, why I'm gonna have to go to do a talk, and why is anyone gonna listen to me? And all of a sudden your cheerleader comes on and says, you are good enough. You are showing up. Way to go. This actually happened.
yeah,
And so even with laundry, doing laundry, I've come back from a trip. I'm like, oh, I have to do laundry. I've got cooking. I've got grocery shopping, all this stuff to do, feeling really overwhelmed. All of a sudden the cheerleader would come up and say, take a breath. You've got this. It's okay. And literally the cheerleader over everything. You did the laundry, way to go. And it's just so beautiful. This
yeah,
higher self that comes in. The other part that really helped me through it was what I call the pause method. So every time a thought comes up that is negative, immediately you say pause, and you say a positive right away. So if it's I'm feeling just awful today, right away you say, I've got this. I am, all is well, is going to be okay. Whatever it is,
yeah.
and continually doing that. So I would have to sometimes do this over 100 times a day, but it's really retraining your thoughts.
Retraining your brain how
Yeah.
to accept them and allow them rather than push them away and distract yourself from actually feeling them.
Yeah. You need to do the work.
Yeah,
And this is the thing, is when you do the work, when you really focus on those thoughts, and you say to your ego, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not wasting any more of my time on
yeah,
these gross negative thoughts,
yeah,
because life is so good when you have the cheerleader coming in and you're in the present moment. It's so good.
yeah, Yeah.
And everyone can do this.
Yeah.
It's just really committing and really going through the emotions, and you can do it. You can do it. Don't give
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. 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 So when you're saying it's like a practice, it is like yoga in some sense. It's like, going into your different poses, or it's like if you're gardening, it's having the discipline.
Yeah.
It's a discipline, isn't it, really, to show up in a sacred space for yourself and just
It's so true.
present.
It's so true. And it's just like anything, like, playing basketball, being a dancer, being a cook. The more that you do it, you get better at it with
Yeah,
anything, right? And
absolutely.
this is the thing with meditation and stillness, is that, so I know so many people that, especially families, they are so busy. They put their kids in a million things. They're running from activity to activity, going from their job. And they can't even sit as a family with dinner. One parent's going off here, the other parent's going off here. Their weekends are crazy busy, and there's no judgment here. They think this is really wonderful also to put the kids in sports and do that. But there's something to be said about sitting down with a family and enjoying your dinner together
Yeah,
and having stillness, and there's communicating with a family, but there's something that really brings up the energy when you can take the time. And needs to be a shift here in humanity with people doing the million sports, putting their kids in that. Your kids can be in maybe one or two. They don't need to be every single weeknight plugged in, and that disconnect with the family.
yeah,
And so that they get uncomfortable sitting with their emotions because they're so used to going on this hamster wheel,
yeah,
going round and round and round.
absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting because I heard yesterday there was a little video that popped up from an Aboriginal elder that I follow, who's up in the top end here, and she calls it dadiri, which is in a deep listening. And she said she just goes down to the river and just sits there and watches the river, and that is her meditation. And I think, for a lot of people, even the word meditation can be so
Yeah,
loaded.
yeah,
And I think it's for some people, it's actually can just be sitting, stroking your pussycat, or
yeah,
your dog's ears, or whatever. It's
yeah.
wherever you are, where you're totally just in that space of presence, but there's a
Yes.
stillness in your body rather than a rushing. We all know what that rushing, those rushing
Yeah.
hormones feel like, the cortisol, coursing through your veins. It's not a rushing, there's an ease about being in that meditative still space. I know that if I talk about meditation, it can trigger me, because I don't know why. It just does. And so
Yeah.
I kind of use words like stillness, just having some
Mm,
quiet time, having a little bit of
yeah.
quiet time, where I just come and just am with myself. I'm just with
I
myself.
just love that so much, Jen, because it's so true. And us also, and you can call it so many other things too. Like you could be walking by yourself, and that is being in meditation, because you're just gently stepping and being really, meditation is just being in the present moment.
Yeah,
And I love that you said petting your animal,
yeah,
because they're always in the present moment and give unconditional love. And
yeah,
it's and it can be that, and especially gardening. I know I can be in the garden for hours, and you just get you just are so connected, with the earth and with the plants. And
yeah,
there's so many ways. And then this is the thing, there is no right or wrong way. You find the way that's right for you.
yeah.
I found the way that's right for me. You found the right way for you. And to experiment with it. There's also beautiful guided meditations out there, whatever resonates with you.
Yeah, just find that stillness. Now,
Yeah.
the other thing that I wanted to ask you was, there has been, I've had a few people reach out to me because they've been feeling overwhelmed with some of the conspiracy theory and the
Yes.
fear mongering that is loaded. And I hear you saying that you check in, you listen, you take the information that you need for where you are. I mean, let's all be realistic. We're not all living in cities, but it's about
Yeah.
keeping it local. What do I need to know that's happening around here
Yeah.
to keep myself well, safe, etc. What advice do you have around helping people not go down that rabbit hole? How can they tune in? I mean, I know that I do it, but I'm just wondering how you do it, where you can, we're energetically sensitive, but if you're not so
Yeah.
sensitive, how do you feel into when you start to listen to something and go, oh, oh, you know, you can feel
Yeah.
the trip switch going. I can feel the trip switch going, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
What? I'm gone. What's the what advice do you have for people who are maybe not quite so in tune to help them recognize what feels good in their body and what doesn't feel good in their body, and what
Yeah.
ultimately is going to be serving them as they ascend and they shift and change?
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you a story because it'll cover this point, is that I went down the rabbit hole, like so down the rabbit hole of this conspiracy theories. Oh my goodness. I was watching this YouTube video on Jenny McCarthy was doing with I think David Wilcock, and I was just glued to it, and then I started watching more videos on it, and it just went all over the place, and I think a lot of it can be true.
Yeah.
But I also noticed, so after I watched that, and I was glued for a couple hours, a good couple hours. I'm like, family, I'm out. I've got to
I'm going to save the world.
and I had and then I noticed my sleep was very fitful. I had a horrible night's sleep. So it played with my head.
Mm,
And then I woke up for whatever reason. I was waking up at 1, 2, 4. I woke up at 4, and for whatever reason, I felt the need to check my phone. I usually don't, but I felt the need to it. And the channeling came through from a group that I know, and it really threw me down even further from what they had channeled. And I was in a state of fear. I went into complete panic mode. When my husband got up, I'm like, we need to buy a what is that called? A Honda generator. We need to get a generator. We need to go get water. We need to. I'm like,
oh,
let's
shit.
start canning all of our food right now. My husband's like, we're looking at generators online. I'm like, this is it. It's going to be 3 days, no power. There's going to be no phones. We're in it. And and then he's like, wait a minute. Let's go for a walk. Let's take the kids. Let's go for a big nature walk. Wow. So he really helps me, keeps me grounded. And that's what we did. We went for a 2-hour hike. I'm fortunate on Vancouver Island that we're still able to go for hikes. The major parks are closed, but
Yeah.
we went for a hike not too far from here. And I have to tell you, the earth and actually being when the canopy of trees, when they're over your head and your body, they reset you.
Do they?
A complete, oh, it's fascinating. It is so fascinating. I wish that piece of knowledge could get to every single person on this planet.
Okay.
When you're in trees, it resets the body, and it reset us completely. We took a
Wow.
few deep breaths. We're like, we're okay. We don't need a generator. We've got water in the hot water tank. We're okay. And we've got food. We're covered. And I realized for me, it was interesting, and there are true seekers out there, and that's wonderful. That's not my role to be a true seeker. And I went with what makes me feel good. I need to go into my high vibration, and that is, let's dance it out. Let's go into nature. And that night I had a really good sleep because I realized I don't want to be looking at that information because it brought me way down.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I'm so glad you shared that story, because I think so many people can relate to it, and especially the energetically sensitive amongst us, the empaths amongst us, because the truth is we're here to anchor the light, is
Yes.
my understanding. We're here to anchor it. We're not actually in the front lines of holding people accountable or finding out. You know, I listened to very recently, I don't know if you had the podcast by Ronan Farrow, and it's all about Harvey Weinstein, and it's called Catch and Kill. And my goodness me, I could have listened to it for another year because it was so nourishing for the soul, because you heard
Mm.
all of this nonsense that was going on, all this manipulation that was going on around what was allowed to come out about Harvey, and people hiding information, and Harvey hiring all these Russian, you know, henchmen to, you know, threaten people and all the rest of it. But then one of the henchmen turning round and then going to Ronan Farrow and saying, you know what, I think you need to know about this, and I just think it's wrong. And just realizing, as I was listening to that, that good will always prevail. It always
Mm.
does. That
Always
even
does.
it always does. That, you know, that there would be these situations where a door would shut and then boom, another one would open, and it was amazing listening to that. But I've also recognized I do not have the nervous system to do that work. I don't have the nervous
Yes.
system to do that work. And I admire those people who are in the front line, who have got the nervous systems that can go there and take the rebuttals and take the threats, and they can just dust themselves down and
Yes.
keep going. I truly admire them. And so for me, I think it's also about getting real with yourself about where you fit in this whole equation, and tuning in and going, what does my nervous system feel able to handle, so that I can keep it
Yeah.
regulated? Because I do feel that a regulated nervous system is what we need on this planet more
Yeah.
than anything, just to help kind of, you know, it's like holding hands when you're doing something really scary and there's a whole gang of you. It
Yeah.
feels like the calmer we all are, the more able we are for this reset to take place and it to not be quite such a struggle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And I agree with you. There are people out there that are light warriors that can just do that, and that's their mission. That's their goal. And there's people like, I think you and I that are highly sensitive, that are empathic, and you know, we hold people's hands, and we're here to hold space, and for that, we also need to reset and keep in balance.
Yeah. So, listen, I think we have, I mean, covered most of the things that I wanted to cover, but there was one thing that shot in last night just as I was putting my computer down, and I went, oh, I want to ask Sarah about the Schumann resonance. Because that came up to me when it came up for me when I was studying metamorphic technique years ago in London, and sort of a
Okay.
little lane, and he talked about the resonance and how it started to speed up, and how it's, you know, and how everything is going much faster. And I know you can access it, and you can you know, you can see what's going on, but I'd like you just to tell us very quickly what it is, how it impacts us, and how it helps people maybe to normalize some symptoms they might be feeling at this time.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yes. So there's a scientist, and his name is, I think I've got it here, Winifred Otto Schumann, that back in 1957 was able to actually calculate the resonant frequency. So this is actually, so here's planet Earth, and there's the ionosphere here, and it's in between here is the magnetic field, really.
Okay.
And so that is really the frequencies in between that go down into Earth and affect our bodies. And usually that's the hertz 7.83 hertz. And lately, and actually the past few years, there's been huge spikes in the Schumann resonance. And also, we just went through this global meditation. What was that, a week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And after this global meditation, I think there's over 1 million people that participated. Huge spike in the Schumann resonance. So Oh,
Wow.
a lot of things can affect the Schumann resonance. There can be solar flares. There can be even lightning storms can affect it, but also the frequency of people. And this is what they're figuring out here. The higher frequency is can be a huge Schumann um,
Wow.
peak,
Okay.
and it's very interesting that I'll know for me, I can hear the Schumann resonance at night now. So if there's a peak and I'm sleeping, it sounds like there's a ship above our house, and I'll hear oh, like a this vibration sound.
Wow.
And at first, I was really terrified that there literally was an alien ship above.
Glad in your back garden.
I want to go inside. Go on the computer. I would go on the computer and I look at it. We're right in the middle of this huge, massive peak. And I'm like, okay, so that's what I'm hearing is
Okay.
the vibration resonance. I'm not able to hear it during the day. There's so many
Yeah.
sounds going on. But so for people, um, every human is being affected by the Schumann resonance right now.
Mhm.
And so we're getting peaks right now. And so some of the symptoms you may get is you may get pressure in the top of the head. You can get ringing through the ears. You can get aches and body aches
Mhm.
throughout the body. You can actually get teeth pain. There's many different symptoms. So when you're feeling something in the body,
Yeah.
this can come up too, and it not may not necessarily be your own emotions. That's what's interesting. It can
Mhm.
be feeling the collective of everyone, and you don't have to be highly sensitive to be feeling what's going on with the Schumann resonance. So I would suggest that people look at the Schumann resonance. You can find it on Google,
Mhm.
um, and you can bookmark it and then take a look at it, and the chart will show you what it is for that day and peaks. And it's not necessarily how you're looking at it and like, how do I read this? I have no idea how to read it. You'll just see the peaks. And really that's what's telling you, okay, I had this huge shooting pain in your head. And I'm not saying not to go to your doctor,
Yeah.
but you can actually take a step back and say, oh my gosh, there was a 61 hertz. We're usually at 7.83. There was a 61 hertz last night. That's why I'm getting a little bit of pain here. Okay, I'm
Uh,
going to go out in nature, drink some extra water, and
yeah.
that will shift through my
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really helpful. I think really helpful because I think at this time where everybody's probably feeling a little bit nervous about various symptoms and all the rest of it that are going on in their body, I think it's also good to talk about what else out there impacts us, even if it's electromagnetic stress as well. I mean, that has a huge impact
Yeah.
on our bodies. But listen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has just been incredible. I am so looking forward to sharing this with as many people as I possibly can. And I'm sure this will certainly not be our last conversation, Sarah, because I truly feel we need more of these conversations to just help um, hold people's hands. That's what I kind of feel
Yeah.
like. I mean, I just feel
Yeah.
like there's like a sisterhood of really kind, empathic people out there that don't want to vilify you for what you're feeling. And those voices need to be heard. The kind, nurturing, ones that just remind you that you're human and you are having a human experience in a rapidly changing universe. And that's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable at times, or
Yeah.
very.
You're so true. So beautifully put, Jen. And you're not alone. That's what we want to let people know is you're not alone. We're all together in this.
Yeah,
And I think when you open up and you really go through the motions of going within, there's such an incredible gift waiting for you.
yeah,
And the gift is you. The
yeah.
gift is love. And I get emotional just thinking of it because I think it's an incredible time to be in.
It is. It is. Well, thank you
Yeah.
again, and we'll look
Thank you,
forward to
Jen.
talking to you soon.
Sounds good. Bye bye.
Bye.